But with all the good, there was some bad.
Always with good, there's bad. You know what I mean? But, I mean, it just comes with the territory, right? And as an artist and if you look at the other side of everything, like, you know, people don't realize how hard it is for us artists, you know, such as myself, in the city trying to, you know, do these things and get on these shows, right? And perform and support the scene, right? But people don't see that side. So, you know, like, it is always good with the bad, right? You got to take in, you know, most of the good and just appreciate what you had. You know, like when we stepped on the stage, right? We got on stage like early, right? We were one of the first acts that got on stage. Like I think there was one other act before us. And, you know, we're not used to performing like early because we like to go like either mid or later on shows, right? Just to get a vibe and see what's going on and whatever. But like when we got there and we got on stage and we seen the place was packed and it was rammed, that's like, I was like, wow, these guys came on and supported. And that's the difference between, like, you know, a Tech 9 show versus, I don't know, like a Havoc show or a Cormega show, where, you know, sometimes you don't see the same amount of people coming out. Or you don't see anybody.
Well, does Cormega not pack a place, though? Like, Cormega's got a cult following.
The thing is,
like Havoc,
we opened for Cormega, a couple years ago. Yeah. And it wasn't like that. I was at the
word,
Yeah.
Because like when Master Ace came, he packed the house.
Yeah.
And like it was a small house. It was the up floor of the Alma combo, but I mean still it's like absolutely packed.
Master Ace is the original Eminem voice. Nobody can.
Yeah.
Eminem knows that voice is at Master Ace.
Yeah. Make some noise for Master Ace. I'm supposed to link with him when I'm in Brooklyn.
Some of those shows though, like a Cormega show.
And Marco Polo just got into Toronto today. Make some noise for Marco Polo. I'm hoping we can get him on the show next week.
Actually get to the target market that those artists felt.
Yeah.
Like, what was it? Yeah. But the Mandem are not being, they don't even know those shows are happening.
Right.
But here's my question though. Is it the artist's fault or is it the promoter?
It starts with the promoter.
It's the promoter.
Yeah, it starts with the promoter.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Everything starts with the promoter.
And it's like, that's where it comes from. It's like if you're in the business of promoting, you gotta obviously appeal to the fan base, the mass, right? Whether it's, you know, your like lane or your group of people that you're used to, you got to be able to promote what your brand is, or else you're gonna have a dud.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And those guys don't deserve dud shows.
No,
because you don't know their target market.
But here's the problem when it comes to shows like the Tech 9 show, like these pay to play, because there's a lot of the discussion of the pay to play thing, right? And a lot of people don't understand it, and a lot of artists don't understand it, and even the promoters, right? Like I get the promoter side, the business side of it, right? Like for the people that don't know, like pay to play, it's like the whole concept of it is that usually promoters will they'll have openers on the bill. You get a set amount of tickets. You give most of the cut to them, and you get like a $5, maybe even a $10 cut of each ticket, right? Now the problem with that is the fact that when they're putting limitations on, if let's say like you don't sell a certain amount, you have to pay it out, or if you don't sell a certain amount, then you may not get to perform on stage, right? Or you might have a limited set time, like. What the fuck is that, man? First of all, y'all should be fucking lucky that you have a street team of people, like artists that are going out there, actually hustling and selling your fucking tickets instead of and making you sit on your ass and just be sitting on computers and barking fucking orders. You know what I mean? So
I kind of, and it's fucked.
It's fucked, right? It's gotta be a respect. There's gotta be a mutual respect on both sides.
The problem is oversaturation in hip hop, though. Because you can just find someone else who will do it.
That's on promoters too.
But you know what? That's how the business is though now. And the only thing is there's two ways you can go, right? Like there's artists who don't do pay to play or promoters, certain ones. You can click up with them. You can try to build personal relationships, stuff like that, or you can do the pay to play. But when you do a pay to play, the thing is you know what you're getting into, right? So it's like me as an artist, I won't take one unless I know I can fork up the bread without selling the ticket. So it's like it's a shitty business, but people sign on for what you're doing.
But people need to understand the pay to play concept. Like it's not what it is, right? Where Look, I've been on a bill. Like, for instance, we opened for Sean P. We opened for Sean P. the last Toronto show he did before he passed.
Make some noise for Sean P.
Make some noise for Sean P. Right? And we hosted the show, and we sold tickets and all that, right? I sold, like, maybe close to 100 tickets for that event, right? There was a good crowd of people. And I made money off the show. I was supposed to sell, like, whatever, 30, 40, whatever the required was. But I made money off of that show from selling tickets, right? Yeah. And I was just, pounding the ground, handing out tickets, just posting on Facebook. Like, Chumpy obviously had the buzz, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, I didn't pay to get on the show. I got paid to be on that show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I promoted. I didn't have to fork out any money. I didn't have to pay up front. I didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
Right? So, this whole concept of you thinking that, you have to pay up front to get these tickets. Sure, there's a lot of promoters that do that, and people need to be careful of that. But then there's a lot of promoters that, they may give it to you and say, here, sell these tickets. But there shouldn't be, when it comes to certain people, there shouldn't be stipulations on shit. Like, especially if, like, you have that relationship. Especially when you have that actual,
if you made
work. You've made money for them in the past, and you've worked with them, and they know you. And on top of that, if you're dope, we're in an era right now where it's like you could be the wackest motherfucker, you could be a no-name motherfucker, right? Just picked up the pen, the other day, started rapping, made your first couple bars, and you have a bunch of friends and money. Yeah. Go to one of these promoters, you pay your $2,000, whatever, boom, you're on the show. Yo, here's $2,000. Right? And sell it to all their friends. They go there, they get a co-headlining slot. Like,
but realistically, throughout hip-hop...
What the fuck is that, man?
Throughout hip-hop, historically, though, if you had money, you could basically get on. You needed financial backing. So it's the same thing, it's just in a different way. It's the same people pay for views. It's all the same thing. But
Maloney's not wrong with
But everything is a marketing thing right now, too, right? So everything is all about marketing. That's what all being an artist is nowadays. So... The thing is, like, these shows, it's like back in the day, there was a lot more limited talent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and not everybody and their grandma was a rapper. Nowadays, you literally have anyone you can grab. Yeah. So it makes promoters lazy, but it's in a place where, it's one of those things where it's like you have to, now in today's climate, most promoters, 90% of them aren't going out seeking dope talent. You have to show initiative to get these spots, you know what I mean? But like salute to like, someone like Ruby Red. Like everybody said they're like, yo, last night he shone or whatever a couple nights ago, but like he was shining. Like every review I've seen is like Ruby Red killed that shit. Like, people really going in about that. But like think about all these shows he's paid these tickets, like, you know what I mean? And so like it's getting him on these stages and now he's shining, you know what I mean? So really it's like,
but here's the difference.
Doing these shows has to be like a plan.
But here's the difference between somebody like a Ruby Red and like Joe Nobody is that Ruby Red's dope. Yeah. If I'm a promoter and I'm a guy that knows music or I'm hearing music, if I take that fucking time to take a time out and sit and actually hear the guy before I'm going to put him on a show, then I'm going to hear that Ruby Red's dope.
And I agree with you. And I agree with you.
And that's the problem in hip hop in general. Like anybody can get on.
Well, that's the problem with some of the pay-to-play promoters is that they don't actually really screen what they're putting on the bill.
And it's like, you got people that have been grinding. Like I've been grinding for a while. You know what I'm saying? And I've been doing my shit for a minute. And I put a post out where, the other when I performed the other night that I went on first or second, right? I feel like I proved my worth. And just because I didn't sell the same amount of tickets as somebody else, they can get a better time slot than me.
But see,
right? that shouldn't be.
But
that shouldn't be
we have a track record with the
exactly. That shouldn't be.
Well, see, that's a different thing. I can't speak on a personal relationship, but on a promoter point of view, that's technically
that shouldn't be an
that's technically the fairness though, because it'd be the one of two differences, right? Like the example I guess I'd use is like when Fun Up, they did the Onyx show, right? And Bishop was on the bill. Yeah. I'm sure he probably had to pay Bishop, right? Yeah. And I think the difference is like instead of demanding your worth up front, being like, yo, we'll open, but you got to pay us $200, instead you went the other route. And that puts you in the same class as everyone else who made the investment, right? So if these guys put the money in, I mean, I totally agree with you on a talent scale, but as, someone who's trying to conduct business and, I can understand where that person's coming from to be like, well, these guys paid their full. Like
if you have a personal relationship, right? Like with me, in my situation, right? And this is where I was pissed off at Almeida for the whole thing, right? And the whole thing for me was that I been grinding for Almeida for years. I've sold out shows for Almeida. I've made him good money. Maybe not Almeida himself, right? I'm not saying Almeida's out here caking and driving Benzes and all that shit. I'm saying I hustled for this guy to get to have his show, right? I'm doing that, and as much as I know how much appreciation he's shown to me, at the same time, that's why I would feel like you would do me better than put me on one or two. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I've always been 100 with Almeida. He's always done a lot of shit for me, and that was my whole thing. But the thing is that when you're gonna come off brolic with me, and you're gonna come off where you're gonna put these stipulations that if you don't sell this amount, then I'm not putting you on, or if you don't come at this time, I'm not putting you on. It's like, bro, who you talking to? Yeah. I've been dealing with you proper from how long, and I've never steered you wrong. I've never done you dirty, right? There's times where it's I'm out there just I'll go to distance to sell a ticket for this guy. Not just necessarily for me, but for this guy to make sure he's putting on a show, right? I've never taken a handout from this guy ever. You would think, to put me on a slot time like that for me, that was it was a disrespect for me. You know what I mean? And you know how I do it on stage. You know how I can get a crowd hype. I can make a crowd from a dead crowd and make them get to another level, right? We've been doing it. We've shown this guy our worth, right? But, right? I've sold 50, we've sold 50 tickets for shows, and we still go up early.
What?
You know what I mean?
Cool.
That's
bro.
But is it that someone sold more?
No. This is what I'm saying. I sold shows. We sold shows where it was I remember we did the Waka show.
Yeah.
And we sold our tickets for that, and we sold them late because Waka's a different avenue for us. We never really touch Waka Flocka. The guy sent me. He's like, "Yo, you want to get on Waka Flocka?" And we're like, okay. Yeah. So that was the first show that THC ever did, and we sold out. We sold out that show, right? We sold our tickets, But we didn't get up on a prime time. So we got on we didn't get up on a prime time. But that's the thing. It's I'm not asking to get on right before the artist. Yeah. I'm not trying to be prima donna guy. Right, but I'm saying I'm not trying to get up first or second, and the building it was fortunate that the Tech 9 show where there was people there, right? Yeah, and there's a few people that are there that are just gonna get I'm only gonna get less of an experience because I didn't sell the same amount of tickets. That's bullshit. And that's in my opinion. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's my track record speaks, right?
My thing is this now. Say what other people that do play Peter Jackson or whoever. Does everybody do the same system?
No, that's the thing. And you got to be, as an artist, understand what the whole concept of the pay-to-play thing is, right? Where there's gonna be some promoters that are gonna say, you got to pay up front, and then sell your tickets, and that's what they'll say. There'll be some artists or there'll be some promoters where you'll have to sell your tickets, and if you don't sell your tickets, then you have to pay the rest of the balance. Yeah. Right? There's different types of styles, system, right? Yeah. Whatever. But then there's some guys that don't have to sell a damn thing or get a few. If they don't sell it, then they're still on, right? Yeah. That's just the relationship of promoter. Yeah. I'm not asking for handouts, right? I'm not asking to say, put me on because I didn't sell tickets. Yeah. I'll support the shit. Yeah. I'll go out there and I'll hustle
but
it.
when you do it,
but when I do it, don't shaft me. Don't disrespect me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? No, and it's my blast that I put out today, I wasn't even a disrespect towards him per se, right? It was just the whole idea of the business of the pay to play, and I feel this is where it's failing, and this is where I think the whole system needs to be, reestablished and looked at, because that's where it kind of breaks, where you have more talented artists if they're going up early or if they're not getting fully exposed as they should to make your show better, and you're only worrying about ticket sales or numbers that. That's where it's you gotta really look at the whole thing and see if this is right? Because I don't know. Like I said, I know my worth. I've done my shit.
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of the problem is, in this city, we lack a hierarchy now. You know what I mean? Yeah. We don't have a hierarchy the way they did. So it's when guys come through, like you kind of touched on earlier, it's not like it's mandatory this person's put on a show because they are the hottest dude in the city. It's you're getting somebody being put on the show because they can bring out X, Y, Z. I think another part is, you know what I mean, and I've touched on this before here, is in Toronto in general, the black audience isn't the buying audience right now.
Right.
It's not that they're not aware of these shows.
Right. They're not aware of some of these shows.
No, a lot of these shows. Who's it? Dude from Troopers. Forgot his name. I know his name because I've done shows with him.
Okay.
I think it was Coogee Rapper. Some show came up. That's Effects at one time.
Right.
And he was like,
I think I was on that show.
I didn't even know this.
Show.
You know how many shows that certain black people talk?
Yeah.
I didn't know this was happening.
Right.
Because those promoters, unfortunately, don't have a pulse to the black community.
Yeah.
They don't interact with black community in Toronto.
Well, I mean, fucked up thing is,
and that's why they're not coming out because they don't know what's happening.
But topic though, man. Like straight. Like look at. I hear you about the hierarchy part of it, and that could be a part of it too.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's some bad decision making on these promoters and stuff on who's organizing the show. And I'll tell you why. You were there, right, Chief? Mm-hmm. After people performed, wasn't there? I'm not saying the DJ can't spin out a few tunes.
Yeah.
But there was big segments where you had enough time that you're running music where you could have put an artist in.
Yeah.
Now, when you think about that, how come you're rushing artists to perform so early?
Yeah.
Even if we're still first or second.
Yeah, you could have.
I think a part of that is because when you have the Phoenix and you have it on a Sunday, you have a curfew. It's like having most in amphitheater. You have, and if you go overtime, you're gonna get fined, right?
What I'm saying is,
I feel you.
The DJ needs time to spin and all that's good stuff, right? Big shout out to DJ Chinos, right? Yeah. I'm just saying that.
You had a crazy lineup. You had like 4 or 5.
You had breaks. Yeah, man. You had long breaks where, in the sense of, instead of rushing us to perform so early, run that break longer and put us on. It's not even about. It's not even about switch the order, right? It's about like maybe just run people more back to back as opposed to put long breaks in between each artist, right?
Yeah,
it don't have to be that long.
Right?
And that's where I feel like the slave mentality comes into play, where it's like, yo, I'm not feeling that, man. It's like, I'm out here on my own time hustling and selling these tickets. Yeah, I took the agreement. I know the whole pay-to-play scheme, right? Yeah, but I'm not like Joe Schmo. That's the thing that pissed me off with the whole Almeida thing. I'm not a Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
Like me and Almeida, like he's, donated like fucking tickets for my son's fundraiser, right? I fucking, done shows for him, whatever. Like, it's a whatever.
Yeah.
The whole thing is like, I know this guy.
Yeah.
We should be on a level where it's like, yo, don't treat me where it's like I gotta be there at 7:45 or I'm not coming on.
Yeah.
And that's where
I find out 2 hours.
And I find out 2 hours before.
He give you the heads up.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like me like that's the thing. It's like, yo, don't treat me like I'm one of these like other artists out there, and then call me friend after when I'm calling you out.
Yeah.
That's what pissed me off.
Well, you gotta understand, like an artist like Tech Nine, it's gonna be a lot of stress as far as how the show was run. He might not even have had control of how that show was run, because I know when an artist like Tech Nine, like he's absolutely professional to a T. So I'm pretty sure his tour manager came in and said, "Listen, this is how things are going to make sure that at this specific time, this guy is going on."
Fair enough. So, he could have still managed it in the same amount of time that he did. And still, I'm not asking to go before Real Wolf and Ruby Red. I know already that those mans are the you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to expect that Real Wolf went out and sold their 50 tickets. I'm not going to expect Ruby Red that he went out and sold their 50 tickets. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is that I'm not out there saying, yo, I should be on before Tech 9. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying I shouldn't be on at 7:45. And I'm getting a call at like 6. And it's like, yo, how many tickets did you sell or whatever? And it's like,
and that determines.
And then I'm like, I could only sell X amount. Okay, well, you're going on at 7:45. I'm like, well, and I said, I don't even know if I can get there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if I can get there on time, whatever. Oh, if you don't get there, then you're not going on.
It's almost like threats.
Are you serious?
That definitely makes it hard to do.
So that's why I'm saying it's like, yo, right? And I would have kept it. Like, I'm not, like, I would have kept it pro and would have been whatever, but like, yo, the fact is like, I said that message today on Instagram. I never dissed them. I never called them out, right? Even when other people came out and said their piece, I didn't even comment. Yeah. People came out and they said their own piece, their own run-ins with Rock Pile. Right? I have no issue with Rock Pile. I have no issue. I've done business with them how many times? With Steve, right? Matt, all those guys. I've done business with them, right? But the problem is that when you took it so personal, right? And you know my problem, you know my situation. You took it so personal and got all upset about it and run up in my inbox and talking shit.
Wow. And that was after you put out the post?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I will. You know, say at the end of the day, like a big part of this problem is the fact that we are doing business with people who are kind of friends, and sometimes business gets personal, and it's a little hard to deal with friendship.
It's bullshit, bro.
It's kind of personal.
That's the problem. It's bullshit. That ain't business, bro. I'm not on that tip, bro. Like, don't come disrespecting me, man, because that's the problem. Artists right now, they need to take like power of their brand. They need to stop letting these promoters dictate if they're hot or not, and they gotta stop letting these like radio stations and these blog sites and shit distinguish what's hot or not. Yo, they need to take ownership of their own shit. You can do it. Like, look at y'all have your own radio station. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to go to fucking Flow or any other station to do your shit. You have your own brand, right?
Yeah.
Like how many artists are taking their own brand right now and doing their things? You got to give them respect, but you know, don't have that mindset that, oh, if I can't get on and perform for Tech 9 for 15 fucking minutes, your life is done. Or I gotta sell, I gotta give $2,000 out of my own fucking pocket and give to this promoter just so I can get on for 15 minutes.
Right.
Know your fucking worth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the problem. Like, you gotta know your worth. You gotta know that, like, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you do, you're gonna be valuable to the game, and that's what the work that you put in, right? You got to do these shows. You got to put out, you know, invest in your brand, right? You might have to put on a show here and there, but you got to know that without you, when you do these big shows, without you and your fan base, it makes it harder for these shows to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Speaking on that, adding to that, fan base, right?
I was gonna touch on that, but go ahead.
Friends and fans. So you put us on so early, and you tell us the same day.
It doesn't give you enough time for
who do you sell your tickets to?
Yeah.
Who do you sell your tickets to? Your friends and fans, right?
Right.
Friends and fans can't even make it there at that time because they don't even. You can't even tell them when they sold tickets
enough
to them.
time to let them know you're gonna be there.
That's so early, right?
Yeah.
You're basically after the doors open, you come and take a piss, and we're gonna be on stage, guys.
Well, I think this harpers down to a big part of the problem. A big part of support is people are coming to shows. They're only coming there to support the artists they bought the tickets from. They're not coming there to support anyone else on the show. So instead of saying, yo, I'm going out this Sunday night, I'm going to a show, I'm going for the whole night. It's like, I'm going to go at 10:30.
And that's the other problem.
That's a mentality that Toronto has.
Well, it's because there's no scene right now. That's the problem.
So that's
going on at 7:45.
I don't know. I've only lived here 6 years.
I'll break it down another day, boy.
Listen,
it's no different than it was before.
No.
Word.
Listen, though, that's another subject in itself when it comes into the people. That's another. I'm gonna touch on that though for a second. Yeah. But back to your question. Yeah. What was your question? Ask this guy. Ask me right now.
Like, what's it? Yeah, I just got a weed.
You asked me about fucking.
Oh, did he ask you prior to the day, like? Did he tell you the
all right, so let me tell you something. Right? Here's the thing, right?
Or was it like a 2 hour?
Usually when I deal with dude, right? He puts me on the show, says, yo, you got to sell this amount of tickets, X, Y, Z, right? I really need you to get on that, right? I said, cool, right? So he even said, like, yo, like, are you sure? Are you sure you can do this? Obviously, if you're confident enough and you want to do this, I'm gonna try my best. Tech 9 in my inner circle of people. Not the most marketable, not the most selling point, but because he's a name, I can put a blast cell, I'm sure I can make a sales off of it, right? Whatever. So, a few weeks before that, updated him, whatever, what was going on. And again, it was how I was addressed. It was on that brolic, like, yo, you know, I showed him up front, say, oh, you know, I'm going to see, whatever. And then that's when he's like, yo, I need you to put this amount of tickets on I need you to sell this amount of tickets or else, like, you know, I can't have you on the show.
And you said that when?
Like a couple weeks before that.
Yeah, you must have been stressing.
See, I get that piece.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
When promoters get like that, they're like, oh, where's my ticket?
And here's the problem with the show. Here's the problem with the whole ticket thing, right? You hear about okay, so how many artists were on the bill?
Like
5?
Yeah.
So let's say each artist has 50 tickets each, right? Like, you know, there's 250 tickets right there, right? That each artist have. The tickets go on sale, like maybe a week before artists will get their tickets, right?
Yeah.
Like at least because they'll go on sale, they'll go online on sale, right? And if they're blasting the online site, right? Sometimes people will just go online and buy their tickets.
Because it's easier nowadays.
Now, like let's say you have now Play the Record, right? At core downtown. People go in there, they fucking have tickets out there, whatever, right? Yeah. So now you have to rely on your 50 friends or your 50 peoples that come out. And like you said, if you have people that, you know, are not supportive enough to come out on a Sunday night and knowing an hour before you're going to be performing at 7:45, it's a hard sell in a sense, right? Where it's like you know, it's a different kind of grind, right? You got to be on that type of grind. But I mean, so he showed me, you gotta, you know, have 20, whatever.
But that was still like 2 weeks.
That was 2 weeks out. Like maybe that was, it was like 2 weeks before, right? Cool, but again, it was like. It was a brolic thing of how he dealt with the situation. I don't really want to go into too many specific details, but let me just say this: the date, it was just the way it was talked to and dealt with, and I left it alone. The thing is like it's not the first time he's done this, and I left it alone because I know dude can get stressed, and I know situated or whatever, right? I get it, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's the way I was handled that day, and how it was handled now today with him, and it's like, bro. You say that you're up in my fucking inbox saying, yo, I thought we were friends. Nah, calling me a bitch, all this shit. Right?
Are you said that's friends and calling me
that's why I said. That's why I say, yo. Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm coming to fucking here and we're gonna debate. I said, come here. Yeah. I said, come here. We'll debate, bro. I say, bring the same energy. Come here.
So what happened?
But he's not here.
Why is he not here?
I don't know why he's not here.
He's got some stuff to film.
Oh, whoa, yo.
Mike Stanley seems so concerned. You're like, why is he not here?
No, I like.
Where you at?
I said, bring the same energy. I said, what is there to debate? What did I say?
Yeah. Mike woke up ready for smoke.
He's like, oh, you're talking about my pockets. I didn't make it. I didn't make money. I make.
Oh, I love when promoters say they don't make money.
Bullshit. I'm like,
Trust
me. Who's talking about your pockets, bro? All I said was I should have gone on earlier. Should have gone on later. I don't give a shit about your pockets. I don't care about the business.
You guys know this shit better than me, bro.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. And then he's carrying on like, yo,
Stanley's about to get to
talking about he's coming here. I said, all right. I said, come with the same energy, though. Wow. The same energy you're in my... I got receipts. Come with the same fucking energy as you're coming with.
So we have to technically do a part 2 of this because you didn't.
Bro, listen.
Yo, make some noise for Melmine.
Listen.
Yeah, but
I'm not coming. Listen.
Bring that energy, show.
At the end of the fucking day, listen. As an artist, as a man, I was insulted. I felt like I was insulted, and today was the last straw for me. And it's like I was only coming on a tip where I'm saying, like, we put on for our city. We've opened doors. Like, ask Ruby Red, ask Jay Don. Like, we were like one of the first like avenues that these guys went through to get to where they're at right now, right? And both of them are very humble in knowing that and saying that and admitting that. And I appreciate everything they do. I know me and Jay Don have had our thing, but I appreciate like what he's like done and put on for the city. I appreciate that, right? And I respect that kid.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. But at the end of the day, I wasn't insulting Rock. I wasn't insulting him. I'm just
laughing. I don't even know.
I'm just showing like, yo, I should have been put on later. And when you look at the list, Stoney, everyone's here in the scene, whatever. Did you know those artists? Never heard of those men, right? Yeah. Have you heard of these men? Have you seen when you saw that list?
I heard at least 4 of them, 4 to 5 people on that list.
But to play devil's advocate, isn't the people who put in work and lay a foundation never get the respect though? Yeah. Cool Herc never got a royalty check.
I'm not trying to diss, right? It's not a diss.
He created hip hop.
No, but I'm gonna say.
He just played.
He living with his teeth all messed up in the Bronx still, fam.
I'm happy for the little guy that he has that opportunity to come and do. But
I'm not. Look.
And
it's not even.
He was grinding them tickets up, boy. I'm telling you, 3 months ago, the little his name's Trisak. Shout out to Trisak.
Yeah.
3 months ago, he was grinding them.
Bro, the man told him months ago, yo. If you sell more tickets, you're gonna get a better spot.
Yeah. And I know the flex.
And that's the original.
I know the flex, and I know that's what he's showing them. So look, I'm not even saying like, you know, those guys. I don't respect those guys and what they're doing. Right? That's cool. It's whatever. It's like I'm saying you could have still managed the fucking show in the same time slot and put us up at like when did Tech go on? 10:30, 11? 11?
You went on at like 10:30.
10:30ish, right?
10:30.
Yeah. We could have gone on at like 9 o'clock ish.
They should have put They should have
and Mets and could have gave us and gave everyone the same set times. There was a gap between Real Wolf and the other performer.
Half an hour, bro.
There was a gap.
Yeah.
It was a good gap. Good gap.
You guys were there.
Yeah. And we were only on for like 20 minutes.
So you don't have to even.
Listen, I'm not trying to say, yo, this guy shouldn't get on. This guy's shit. It's not even about that.
Were there any no-show artists?
It's not that I don't know about that. It's not that I'm dissing and saying I don't know them. Yeah. I never listened to their.
You're just saying.
I'm just saying,
by reputation.
Bro.
Were they even dope? Were they dope?
Shows-wise, have you seen?
I don't even think I don't even remember them because they were like I think they were like on after us or some shit like that.
Who? Me? I was on his set. I got to perform too.
Yeah. So
you see what I'm saying?
I went on.
I was on his set.
Well, did you go on after us?
Yeah. I got to watch you guys.
Okay. Because I went outside
for a dope show. I went on. Yo, I saw you come on the stage. I was like, "Come here, bro." I was like, "Good show, brother."
I didn't even know. Me a 1-2. I didn't even know that you're on. I just went outside, had a smoke. And I was just, I was hot and shit, but...
I got to open up for Tech, too.
Make some noise.
Yeah, make some noise. Regardless, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, regardless of all that, you'll say it was a dope show. You guys are definitely doing your thing.
Yo, Dustin.
The fact of the matter is, you know what I'm saying, like you said, like you touched on, it's about knowing your worth. It's about creating brands. Here in Toronto, you know, we got to create brand. That's why we're trying to do this. And we got to kind of, like, build up this shit ourselves. Because we don't have, like, we got flow, we got a few things, but we don't have it popping the way we should have it popping.
Or how we used to have it.
How we used to. We're not making money. So, you know what I'm saying? We just gotta, you know what I'm saying, like, get that fucking paper, man.
But going back to
everyone has to stop hating each other and
what we have to do. What we have to do. Yes, that's one. That's one.
The problem is because you might even think a rapper's nice and you'd be like, fuck him.
No, yes, that's one.
You think you're better.
One of the things we need.
Yeah.
One of the things we need. Hold up. One of the things we need right now is less rappers and more people like Saul Guy.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know who Saul Guy is, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was somebody who really got, you know, Rascals and Chalks and a lot of these guys popping, you know what I'm saying? K9, a lot of these guys. But we need people like this. Yeah. What we need is networking. We need solid networking. As I touched on earlier, and I don't want it to be like a racing at all, but this is being, in my opinion, this is what's happening in hip-hop in Canada. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but the majority of the shows that I go to, big or small, are predominantly white populated. That's cool. We're getting more predominantly white artists. Okay, that's absolutely cool. That's fine. But the fact of the matter is, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have that support system at this particular time for the artists, other than a handful of artists who aren't even doing these shows. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what we need to do is the same way that a lot of these guys go and support Snack, and they go and support, you know, Merciless, and they support these dudes. We have to figure out how we could do that, even as Toronto artists, regardless if you're black or white, but how can we get
No, do you know what it is? It's Ontarians as a whole. It's not even just a Toronto thing. Like, people from the scene here just think they are better than putting in the rawest effort of groundwork. Like, this is why somebody like Robbie G flourishes, because he fucking... Because he goes in and puts in the groundwork. He travels around the country.
Hold on. I don't want to say based on what I thought I heard years ago, and I'm not sure if it's 100% true, and it's not a disrespect to Robbie G.
Please say this. What you can say.
Groundwork is one thing, and a lot of people have backing. I don't know what kind of backing he had, but...
Oh, backing helps, but still, a lot of people aren't willing. But a lot of people still aren't willing because of their pride to go rock shows with 5 people on the East Coast of Canada or the West Coast and be eating out money to put shows on.
Hold on. I know you want to
invest,
and then those people come back the following year. That's the crazy shit.
When you toured with Robbie, what year was it?
That was last year.
Okay. Now, when did you meet Robbie again?
Who knows, man?
Okay. We go back to
probably I'd say like 11, 12.
And this is the RM
10, 11, even before
days,
that.
Right?
You go back 10, 11 years, or when you were that age?
2010.
No, 2010.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? When you're 12? I'm like,
this is the thing, though. How did he and Essence link up?
I think it was just through the Guelph scene.
Yeah, and he started really in Guelph.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing like what you were saying.
No.
Prior to. But this is why I need Essence on the phone right now. I want to link her about it right now. But you call it, but
that's your friend.
And I'm not like I said, I can't say 100%. It's what I heard. But everyone has a certain set of backing. So you can do that groundwork when you have that backing.
The thing is,
yeah.
But
yeah.
the thing is, though, you know what it is with Robbie.
Willing, it's about having.
You know what it is with Robbie
G.
What?
Yeah, if you don't have, you can't.
Here's the problem.
That is true.
Here's the difference between.
I can say, grinded his ass off to a certain degree, but again, I don't know how deep.
Okay, so here's the difference between
a
Robbie G.
Well, that's why a lot of corny rappers get popular and get opportunities. And I'm not going to point my finger at anyone specifically, but there are corny rappers that have money behind them that get opportunities a lot of other people.
But here's the difference between a Robbie G and a J Don and like your urban like our promoter in Toronto, right? Is not like I'm saying, right? Yeah, I'm saying though. You look at Robbie G, right? Like Guelph is like one small little town
thing,
right? Like it's
a small pond.
Yeah, it's a small pond, and he's a big fish there. Where he's there bringing all these big name artists. He has the money to do it. He has like he got big off of IRM. Like that was how he got his first buzz. Like when we were rolling, me and Stoney and.
I know he was doing shit before that,
but
that's why I said
that's where he really. That's where he really like took off, right?
Okay.
Because that's when he like connected with like the Peter Jacksons and connected with like these other promoters, and then he himself like knew how to like promote shows and do shows himself and brand it, and like kind of just took off from there, right? Like he just, I'll give him credit. He was a student. He took notes and he just blew up in his small pond, and you remember, like, corny rappers can get on with just any kind of promotion, really, right? And in Guelph, there's a lot of just guys that were there that just want to get on. They weren't the best, right? But they got on because Robbie was the avenue. Robbie's the only promoter, really, that was consistently doing shows, right? I mean, like, you had, like, Static and...
Oh, he runs the Guelph scene. Like,
yeah.
I remember when I was doing my tour in 2015,
yeah.
and I reached out to 2, maybe 3 venues, and every single one of them told me I had to book it through Robbie G. And Robbie G, that's my dude. Shout outs to Robbie. But he wouldn't book it at the time because he had another show coming that month.
Do you know Static from Guelph?
Static, no.
No? So Static was the other promoter in Guelph, the other, like, hip-hop link to get out there in Guelph. And him and Robbie had a fallout, and Robbie then like was basically the man to go through Guelph, right? But the thing is that he was able to monopolize that because it's Guelph, right? You're bringing out Sean Paul, you're bringing out all these big artists coming out to Guelph, and you're the main connection.
Kind of like how Peter Jackson was in Durham.
Exactly,
just like Peter Jackson in Durham,
and then he was able to
just like J Don in.
Now Robbie is branching out now. Now he's taking over like
or any of these smaller towns. He was able to reach out to his fan base, that core fan base.
But see, that's what Robbie's doing though. He's taking over other markets now. Like he's in Sault
Ste.
Saint Marie,
he's hitting up those same markets.
He's hitting up the same markets, but he's building a solid like almost what he did in Guelph buzz in these other markets. Like even on the East Coast, when we were out on the East,
but look at the artists.
Some of the people that came out have been coming out to see him for like 2-3 years.
But that's what I'm saying. Like in Canada, that hip hop is turning into.
When you're from a small place, regardless of the thing, right? You're already there.
Yeah, you're big.
It's not like he said, "I'm in Toronto. I'm going to go to Guelph and set up shop."
Right, he's already there.
Yeah, so you said
the G stands for Guelph.
No choice.
But that's what hip hop in Canada by far and large. Like hip hop doesn't have a lot of major cities. So compared to America, you know what I mean? We don't have a lot of major cities, let alone cities that have a population bigger than 1 million people, right? So let alone, again, like I'm saying, cities that have, a lot of black people. So hip hop by far and large is turning into small town where these guys can go to these small towns
and take over markets.
And they can do that.
That's how SDK did it.
Exactly.
That's how SDK did it. But not only that, if you look at somebody like Tech 9, that's how he built his following. He wasn't going, when I interviewed him the second time, like he said, when they did their first tour, he lost over like $100,000 or something nuts when they did their first Strange Music tour.
Yeah.
And that's what they were doing. They were hitting these small markets all around America. It's not like they were doing 20 shows in New York and 20 shows in LA. You know what I mean? They were spreading around all these small markets around the States and building a buzz everywhere and then doing consistency. They lost over $100,000 on that first tour. He said.
Yeah, I can see that.
You gotta lose.
But now look at him. He runs the biggest independent
always gotta lose
label.
money. It's part
But
of
yeah, that's all part of the whole formula. That's business. You got to win some, lose some, right?
Yeah.
There's no guarantee, right? But that was why Robbie G was able to blow up in that market and then expand to these other smaller markets, right? Because Toronto's the mecca, right? Like we're the
we're the New York City.
We're the New York City.
The New York of
you know
Canada,
what I mean?
yeah.
And there's so many rappers here. Not only is there so many rappers, so many dope rappers.
Yeah.
Right? For every Dre Bars there's a Jason Pass. There's Tory Lanez and a Drake. Like everyone is, and like have all these other independent artists that are doing the same kind of things. Everybody's doing it in Toronto, and there's so many talented artists. Like, how many artists can you say that there's talent in, say, London or say Guelph?
No, London has a lot of talent.
No, London has a lot of London has a lot of talent. In some artists,
NGA?
Some cities compared to other cities, like London has the most talent when it comes to like the surrounding areas. Yeah. I think London, man. I think I like Barry too. Like Barry's got some spitters out there, but I think London's like where it's at, man.
But even small towns got spitters. Brantford got spitters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hamilton got spitters. Like every town got spitters.
But how many people are doing the business?
No, that's the thing. A lot of them don't come out here. But a lot of people don't give them a chance out here either unless they're buying tickets. And they know they're not selling them to anyone.
It's hard to pop in Toronto.
People would leave
Even with
Kansas to go to
Yeah.
He built his base in Barrie, right?
But you know one thing I will say?
And he did do his thing here, but it was harder for him to do his thing here.
Yeah.
As opposed to being from here and doing something from here.
Now here's the thing. Now here's the problem with, again, going back to the pay to play thing, where now you have these artists out there in these cities where you can monopolize it, where you're like, hey, pay me this amount of money and you get to open up for whatever, right? Jadakiss, whatever, right? If you're that artist, sure, you're gonna do that. Yeah. And like I've heard from so many people, I know for a fact, like where artists have to like pay up front for this guy Robbie G. Yeah. Like he has to pay up front, or they have to pay him if they don't sell the tickets, right? Yeah. Or he won't put you on, or some shit like that, right? I've heard several stories about that. But this is the problem, where it's like now that's where it's harming the culture and harming the whole thing. Yeah. Where it's like you're taking what you essentially was a student and observing and looking, you took that and now you're just making it about business. Yeah. And that's what ruins the culture of the whole thing. Yeah.
Right? But what does he does and what Peter Jackson do any different? He really just took the same format and ran with it, did he not?
Well, Peter Jackson, for me, I'm going off personal experience. Yeah. Peter Jackson's never fucked me up.
See, because I can say from personal experience with Robbie, there's been times where I've undersold shows for less than half the tickets, and he still put me on. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I've never like these horror stories.
You never had to pay out. Look,
well, I got to a point over years where I'm like out of respect because I understand the pay-to-pay culture. I'm gonna get over my ego and I'm gonna just pay out. You know what I mean? Any tickets I take, I'll just pay out.
That's you. Well, that's how you do it. I mean,
well, no, because it's a respect thing.
No,
it's
like, I hear what you're saying.
I understand the format you run now. Okay, I put my pride aside, and I'm like,
You and so you don't have to stress yourself.
Look, to each his own.
No, and I just don't want to. That's an agreement I take.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And to each his own. Yeah. It is what it is, right? But again, that shouldn't be necessarily implied for everybody. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like I understand the business of it, and you gotta respect it as. But at the same time, you gotta respect an artist. Where if you feel like you should be paid for a show or should be paid for doing what you're doing, right? If you respect your own brand, you should feel that you should be paid for a show, right? Like, that's what you. That's
the exact difference I'm saying though, is that if I feel like I'm getting paid for a show, then I'm not gonna take tickets to sell for a show and be like, no, pay me.
Right.
So that's the difference. If I'm gonna take on a show, then I'm just saying that's the point where I've got to over the years where I'm like, out of a respect thing, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I said I'm going to sell $500 in tickets. Well, I only sold $300, but I'm going to give you $500 because that's an agreement as a man that I made to you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's the point.
And I totally get it. And I'm on the same tip, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna come out of pocket and give them like $5,000 or whatever if I can't sell 50
Yeah,
tickets, right?
but see,
And I
that's
only
almost
sold
even
20.
scarier though. Like I would rather have the rapper as a promoter who bought on a show for $500 come with 300 than the guy who bought on for 5,000 come with 2,000. Because that's a lot bigger loss.
No, for sure.
So it's a lot more of a headache. So I can understand where like a promoter on that side of sense comes from as well
ruins,
too.
In my opinion, though, I think it ruins the whole. I guess
it ruins
the culture. It ruins everything, right?
It does, 100%. But the thing is,
I see both sides.
They have to get money, and we understand.
It's about your plan.
Here's the question: ultimately, are you just trying to get money, or are you trying to have a good show? Right? Because you can
people
sell,
don't care about putting on a good show anymore. That's the problem.
That's what's killing me.
I can remember when I was younger, I'd go to a hip hop show
though?
and it would be a good show.
I'm not saying you have to bring the artist down and you come out of pocket $10,000.
Depends who you ask. Is it really a problem?
At the same
Because
time, right? Are you trying to have a good show? Or are you trying to make money? Because if you just want to make money, you can go give it to these knuckleheads who just, like you said, you can just pay $2,000 out of their pocket or whatever, and then right? Or you try to have like.
But you have to have a decent show. You want people to come back and say, "Yo."
And that's what comes. And that's when it comes back down to the promoter.
And obviously, the balance. You can't have just people who are good who sell no tickets and bring nobody. That's no good either. You have great people.
It has to be a balance. It's an
balance.
insurance. That's the way I see it. Like when you buy onto a show for a certain ticket sale, it's an insurance. That's exactly what it is. They're giving you, you can have this slot, but I need an insurance on it. I need to make sure you can cover this. Yeah. Anything you ever notice, most of the time it's over a certain amount of tickets. Yeah. You get to keep more of the ticket money after that. Like they want to insure themselves. They're like, if you can push this, cool, make the extra money.
It's like, why should I put you on?
But well. And that's the thing. When you have a personal relationship, I can understand the difference. You know what I mean?
If it's a personal relationship,
if my man's shafting me, I'm gonna be pissed.
Look, there's no handouts, right? There's no handouts and shit, right? I'm not. No one's out here. Look, I can be on that prima donna shit, right? Like I put in the work, I put in the years, but I'm humble to knowing what's what, right? And knowing that. You know, you got to respect the culture. You got to respect the peoples that are there in it, whether you like them or not.
I got a question for all of y'all, since you guys been in the scene much longer than me, right? Like, back in the days, I mean, at our level, I'm not talking about, you got mad money to forecap. Was there a pay-to-play?
No.
Always been played.
I mean, like, on our level.
But it wasn't as...
On our level.
It wasn't...
Let's say originally speaking, when the hip-hop scene still started popping, like...
Like on an independent level?
Yeah, like, I don't know, 98 up to like...
Well, the thing is, if you look at, like, on a mainstream level, a lot of times, like, Taylor Swift goes on tour. Camila Cabello's opening for her. I'm guarantee there's money behind the scenes that's making that happen. Taylor Swift's not just like, I like your music, come open for me on tour. It's business. You know what I mean? And that trickles down to us too. It's just us in underground scenes where maybe the scene and we understand the pulse and the people and what the people want. We look at it a certain way and be like, nah, that ain't cool. But in all reality, you know, if you want to make it to where you want to make it in this game, you're going to be doing the same shit to get on tours with fucking Jay-Z and shit, unless you're signed to them and they're putting you on. Like when I seen Hov, he had Vic Mensa with him.
But you know what, though?
You would get paid for that.
You would get paid, but you would be putting a deposit down beforehand, 100%, I guarantee it.
Okay, I won't deny, but like if you're going to play for an ACC, you're going to get paid for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it like this.
But I hear you about a deposit. Yeah, okay. Of some sort.
But at the end of the day, though,
I don't know what it would be, but okay. But
like an investment into something.
At the end of the day, like, bottom line, it all boils down to is like, we are in the business of selling art. You know what I'm saying? And we have to make it an art to sell our business. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a yin and a yang. So regardless of whatever happened, like, you know what I'm saying? It's a business. Got to keep it moving forward. We got to figure out ways to restructure it. And people who are watching this, not everybody needs to be a rapper. We need more businessmen in this industry.
Make some fucking noise for that.
We don't have enough people, like I said, knowing your fucking worth. Create your fucking worth. That's what we got to do right now. That's
see that shit with Jay.
We got to create our fucking worth.
You see that shit when Jay was talking about not getting signed?
Right.
And he went to every label and everyone said he was garbage.
Fuck it.
Look at
Create
Jay
your
now.
own fucking worth. But that said,
Look at Jay
that said, you know what I'm saying?